Welcome. This is the introduction video for SAP HANA BI and BO training course. First, we look at the overview and purpose of these components, HANA BI and BO, how it relates to each other, and also how it relates to the functional module SAP ECC system as well as non-SAP IT solutions. Later on, we will get into the details about the training course. Any IT application, either it creates data or it gathers data. It stores the data in the relational database. This data is called OLTP data, online transaction processing data. The underlying data model for OLTP data is the entity relationship model, where you have the parent-child kind of relationship. And this model is very suitable for transaction type of processing, where we need to query a certain set of data and present it back to the users. But when it comes to analysis of the data, this is not the best model. The best model as per the industry standard is the star schema or the dimensional model. We will get into it later as we discuss the star schema and extended star schema as it relates to SAP. But for now, let's focus on this OLTP entity relationship data model. We need to do analysis of the data in order to get better insight about the business process, so that we can do some changes for optimizations, improve the process, etc. Basically, we need to convert the data into some kind of information, and that information then translates into business knowledge for better insights and process changes. Here you can see the properties of OLTP data listed on the left hand side, as opposed to the properties required for the analytical data. So in short, there is a gap which exists between the OLTP data and also our overall goals for the business in terms of improving efficiency, etc. And this gap is called a business intelligence gap, which is exactly what the SAP products HANA BI and BO tries to address. Now let's get into the details about HANA BI and BO. The OLTP data is represented in the form of cylinders, whereas the data which are used for analytics is represented in the form of cubes. This process is basically a two-step process, where in the first step we convert the OLTP data into OLAP data using SAP BI or BW. Okay. So the whole purpose of BI, to put it in very simple terms, is to convert the data, OLTP data, and then convert it in the form of OLAP data, cubes and DSOs, dataset objects, so that we can do the analysis of the data more easily. Once the data is in OLAP format, then we make use of the BO, business objects reporting tools, to consume the data. So it's easier to consume and do the analysis and reporting if the data is in the OLAP format as opposed to the OLTP format. This is one representation of the process. Again, this explains the two-step process. The first step is we have multiple data source in different formats like SQL, Oracle, DB2, etc. These are different types of databases on which the OLTP data resides, and using the BI tool, or there are other comparable tools in the market also. So the first step is to convert the multiple data source in multiple formats into OLAP cubes or DSO objects. So this is done using BI tool, BI, or it can be done in HANA also. The next step is to consume the data, consume the OLAP data, either for reporting or for a further analysis of it. This is another such architecture. Different companies follow different architecture. This is one such thing. So we have multiple data sources, and then all the data is moved into operational data store. The data in the operational data store is typically whatever data required for the analysis, and here we use a ETL tool to move the data from the source to the operational data source. SAP ETL tool is BODS, it's Business Object Data Services, and once the data is in the operational data store, it is moved to data warehousing. That's where the conversion happens from OLTP to OLAP, and if required we can split it into individual data mart. Later on the data is consumed using the reporting tool like dashboards, Webby, etc., or it can be used for further analysis and data mining. So what are the different types of end user reports which is part of BO? We'll look at it very quickly here, but I will go into the details of each of these different reporting formats later on when I discuss the BO course content. But for now, let's quickly go through that. If you require a highly formatted report, then there is a crystal report component. We can also go for web intelligence if it is a ad hoc reporting where the user can create their own reports, or if you want a highly visualized report, then we can go for Celsius or dashboards. Dashboards are typically dynamic, where we can change the input values using some graphical interface, and the report graphics change accordingly. These are some of the typical reports, end user reports, which are generated or created using the BI data or HANA data. And it's not only restricted to the system or paper, it can be used for mobility also. We can push those reports to mobile applications like iPad and Android, etc. So again, these are typical highly visualized reporting which we can generate from BO tools. Okay, this is a simple but highly important system landscape. We need to understand the end-to-end layout of different components, how it comes into picture. Of course, in each of the training course, we will be going into the details of either BI, HANA or BO, but either you work in BO or BI, HANA, it's very important that you know the end-to-end landscape in real world situation. We need to know where the data comes from, what is the input to the system which we are working on. For example, if you are working in BI, you need to know what is the input to it, what is the output, how the data is consumed. Likewise, if you are in BO, we need to know where the different source systems from where we can get the data from, and what are the outputs from the BO. So it's very important to know the end-to-end architecture or landscape of any BI solution. Typically, we have a source data which can be either SAP ECC systems like modules, PP, production planning, material management, sales and distribution, or it could be a non-SAP solution where the database can be DB2, Oracle, etc. And once the data is in the database, it is kind of replicated or transported to the BI solution, where it is converted into OLAP cubes or DSO. If it is SAP BI, it's converted to extended star schema data model and converted into OLAP cubes or DSO. DSO stands for data set objects. and once the data is ready in BI, it can be consumed by the business objects for reporting purpose. So this is one such path. The other possibility is business object reports can access the data directly from the source system, or it can consume the data through HANA. The data from the source system is dumped into HANA, which is in-memory database, and then it is used in the reporting layer, BO. I will come to the difference between SAP BI and HANA, the advantage of using HANA over SAP BI later on. But for now, these are all the possibilities. SAP BI and HANA can coexist. If a client already has the BI setup in place, they have two options. Either they can port or migrate the BI data into HANA, or they can have it as an individual system if they want to have it that way. So the end purpose, whether you have BI or HANA or the data source, is to generate some kind of reports using BO or for analytical purposes like data mining, etc., and then for the end user. Let's summarize. The ECC system is like different modules like PP, SD, MM. There are multiple modules, functional modules in SAP R3. So those things forms part of SAP ECC. And BI, at a very high level, we can say its purpose is to convert the OLTP data into OLAP data, which facilitates easy analysis and reporting. Later on, BO is the reporting layer, reporting tools. Again, we have multiple types of reporting like crystal reports, Webby, dashboards, etc. And depending on what the user wants, we can use that. BODS is the ETL tool. Basically, it moves the data from point A to point B. In this case, we can move it from ECC system to BI. Okay, let's move on to HANA. What is HANA? When you have the BI, why do we need HANA? HANA, the definition is high performance analytical appliance. Why do we need HANA? Whether the data is in OLTP system or OLAP system, the underlying storage device is a mechanical device. It's a disk. It's very input output intensive, which creates bottleneck. Actually, we need a lot of time to read the data, write the data, and also to seek the data in the disk, which is very input output intensive, and it consumes a lot of time. And the memory are very expensive, and as I said, OLTP data, it's all optimized for transactions, and BI data can mitigate the transaction time to some extent, but still that's not the best solution. That is why SAP has proposed HANA. HANA is a in-memory database system. These are all some of the drawbacks of the traditional BI system. For example, we need to do the aggregation before we store the data, so that it's easier for us to report the data during the reporting process. So what is HANA? HANA, as I said, is a in-memory database. It's not only the memory, huge memory, it's also the software. It's a combination of software and hardware, which forms or which enables the different features of SAP HANA. What are these software features? What are these hardware features? For example, the hardware feature, you can have RAM starting from 128 GB up to 8 terabyte of RAM, and you have multiple processors, multiple blades, and you can have CPU, multi-cores, up to 16 cores per CPU. These are some of the hardware improvements which SAP has come up with. So the net result is it speeds up the process, and also it has come up with multiple software features. It uses different, like a Trex for text search, and then we'll go into the multiple software features which are enabled in the SAP HANA. So the bottom line is on the it speeds up the system. On the software side, one main difference between the traditional database and this is here the column store and the object store is enabled. Typically in relational database only the row store is there. The column store enables high compression. We'll look at the reason how high compression is possible when it comes to column store, and also they use partitioning and things like that. One main feature of in-memory databases, aggregation tables are not required because the data is already available in the memory and it can very quickly do the aggregation. And also the loading time is greatly reduced because the data is directly dumped into the memory. We need to just do the inserts for the delta data. So in short, HANA speeds up the process. Not only that, the delta management becomes hassle free because the system takes care of it. And the third thing is that data modeling is not absolutely required. It is better if we can do some modeling in the HANA, but it's not really required. We can actually dump the entire OLTP data into this and do the reporting of it. So this is going to save a lot of time. So in one such POC where 460 billion records were analyzed, the typical BI ran for 77 minutes, whereas the HANA completed the same analysis in only 13 seconds. So in short, we can say HANA improves the processing time, and also it saves time on data modeling, and also it becomes becomes easy for us to do the delta management. These are the three main advantages of using SAP HANA over BI. Now we will go into the course details of each one of these, HANA, BI and BO. The BO training details. We all know that BO is part of the reporting platform of SAP. We can consume the data directly from the source system, or ideally it's better to consume the data from either traditional BI system or from HANA in the form of OLAP cubes or DSOs or queries. Okay. Once we are into the BO, we have got multiple options for the reports depending on the customer needs. For example, if you want a highly formatted report, okay, where the landscape and design of the report can be predefined, then we would go for crystal reports. This is one sample of crystal reports. We will create crystal reports directly from the source system. We can also have exercises where we use stored procedures to gather the data, to do the business calculation, and then present it into the crystal reports. We would also create the crystal report out of the universe. There may be situations where the users or the power users, typically they want to create a report for their own need instead of letting the IT guys, requesting the IT guys to do that. So in that case, we would go for ad hoc reporting, where we would give a predefined framework or predefined options for the users to create their own report, and the users would drag and drop basically, and then they would create a new report. This is screenshot of web intelligence, which is part of the ad hoc reporting. If the users require a highly visualized report, then we will go for dashboards, which is part of BO. So BO has got three types of report. One is highly formatted report and static report. Then we go for crystal report. If it is a ad hoc report, it's like a self-service for the user, where they can create multiple dynamic reports. Then we go for webby kind of report, and the third one is the visualization, highly visualized report, which we use the dashboard. These visualized reports are typically where we can change the values of it in the graphical interface, and the result would also vary according to the input values. This is one such dashboards based reports. So we will be covering these types of reports in the BO course. These are all the samples of different types of reports, and also the reports are not restricted only to the system. We can have a we can push these reports into Android, iOS, or even to the iPad. So there is a mobility aspect to BO reports, which we will touch upon during the course. So BO reports are highly dynamic and high visualization, user friendly reports. So basically BO is a reporting platform where we make use of the data available in the application system or in the BI or in the HANA, and then we create a query or we create a report and give it to the users for their consumption. We can even use the Excel as an add-on, and then we can push these reports to the Excel if the users would like to get it in that format. So this is the content. We will go into individual content later, but this is the overall high level content. We'll first deal with the need for analytics and report, and then we'll get into the universe. Universe design is one important aspect. One main purpose of universe is to get the data from multiple source and then present it to the user in the business language, so that it reduces the complexity of the underlying database relationship. It's more a semantic layer sitting on top of the existing database. And later on we'll move to crystal reports, and then we can create the crystal reports using the universe. Then webby, dashboards. These are the three types of major reporting tool which we will learn as part of this course. And we'll also see the launchpad, which is like a enterprise gateway to for the multiple BI products, and we'll also touch upon the user access and security. This is the screenshot of the universe where it's a semantic layer, as I mentioned, where we create the relationship between different objects in the database, and then that objects is used to build the reports top of it. Within the universe we will be covering all these aspects, just from the starting from basics, understanding business objects universe, and then how to create the universe using IDT or universe designer. All of these topics, which are the fundamental building blocks, we will be covering in this course. This is the screenshot of crystal report. As I mentioned, we go for crystal report if we are going to, we can predefine the layout of the report, and if we know where that value is going to come from, if there are a lot of calculations, pre-calculations required, and highly formatted reports are required, then we go for crystal report. In that crystal report we will be covering all these topics, just from basics to advanced, like using the sub reports, etc., using the formulas, sub reports, parameter and props, cross tabs, things like that. This is the webby and like ad hoc reporting. The underlying layer is the universe. We will be covering these topics in the webby. As usual, we'll start with the basic, and then we will move on to the advanced building blocks of webby. This is the screenshot of dashboard, highly visualized form of presenting the report. Within the dashboard we will be covering these topics. This is the launchpad. This can be considered as a gateway to multiple applications, PO applications, and this is customized for each user. let's see, if you say recently used or viewed document, and then there is an inbox for messages. We will go through this, understand the concept of BI Launchpad. And then there is a central management console, which is the administrative tool. We will get into the details of CMC, and the features of CMC, or the purpose of CMC is for monitoring the jobs, auditing, data security, things like that. So this is a screenshot of CMC in action. We will go through all the aspects of CMC, and then we'll go through the physical and logical architecture of BO, starting from universes and repositories and servers, and then metadata management and client side layer, things like that. We'll be covering physical architecture and logical architecture of BO. This is very important from job perspective. As you are in the real-time environment, you are required to know the underlying architecture and where that data is coming from, which server or which service is controlling it. If there is a problem, you should be able to identify or know where to look for. So this is one important topics which will be covered as part of the course. This is a logical enterprise architecture. Same thing, this is also part of the architecture flow, which we'll be looking in detail. And then mobile solution, which we'll be seeing a overview of mobile solutions as part of this course. And so as you see, it's a very exhaustive topics which will be covered. And I will not be restricting only to BO, because knowing BO is good, but if you know end-to-end solution, then in the real-time environment it's going to be really helpful. We will start with the ECC system or the data source, and then we will also be looking at the BI solution and also the HANA, and later on we will move on to the BO, and within BO we will be covering the architecture, we'll be covering the CMC, and also the three major types of reports which are typically part of BOBJ. Said it's a very exhaustive course, and I hope you'll take advantage of this. If you need more information, or if you are interested in joining this course, please contact us. Thanks.